Hello, beloved. It's me, James, and it's time for some sacred reading together. We have been working our way slowly, a few verses at a time, through the Hebrew Bible book of Ruth. Just to bring you up to date, in case this is when it's story oriented, you want to kind of know the story. There's a family, Naomi and her husband Elimelech, and their two sons find themselves in the middle of a famine in Israel, and so they move to Moab for the family's well-being. While they're there, their two sons get married to two Moabite women, Ruth and Orpah. And tragedy strikes, that is, Naomi's husband, Elimelech, dies, her two sons die, and it is her and her two daughters-in-law. She suggests to them that they need to go back to their people. And the reason she does is because at the time that this was being written, the story being told, women didn't really have access, rights to own land or earn a living in any particular way. They needed to be attached to a brother, husband, father, cousin. So if they didn't have a way to take care of themselves, they didn't. So Naomi encourages Ruth and Orpah to go back to their people, to their family, and that she is coming back to Israel, that things have changed, no longer a famine, and she's coming back. Orpah takes her up, goes back to her people. Ruth does not want to leave Naomi, and they stick together, and they come back to Bethlehem. Fast forward just a little bit, and we find in today's text that Ruth, the daughter-in-law, has gone out to glean in the fields. Any food that's dropped behind by the workers can be picked up by those who are poor, or so no one goes hungry. It's a system that was supposed to provide for all people. And that's where we find everything. Boaz, the owner of the field that Ruth is gleaning in, comes back. He's greeted his workers, and we're about to pick up from there. Say a little bit more about sacred reading. We read the text with the anticipation that though it may be a story about something that happened some time ago, some set of the words, a phrase, an individual word, or an image might arise in us as we read the text, and the text might speak into us something we need to hear, a word of encouragement, an invitation to wake up to some reality we're missing out on, calling us out on some missteps we are making in our own lives, to try to ripen us up so that we might be closer in our relationship to Spirit. So Spirit can speak to us in those ways. When I do sacred reading by myself, I read the text 3 times aloud. I do that on purpose. My eyes sometimes trick me, but when I read it aloud, I get the vibration. I hear it. Not only my eyes see it, but my ears hear it. My vocal cords vibrate to produce the sound. My lungs and my whole body are involved in producing the sound, and hearing it offers me an opportunity to see it in new ways, to hear echoes of what it is. So I do it 3 times when I'm alone by myself. Encourage you to do the same thing when you do sacred reading. But when I do it on these short broadcasts, I tend to just read them once. And after I've read it once, I pause for just a moment to kind of reflect on what I heard echoed in my mind. You might do the same. You could even turn off the video at that point if you wish, and just go back and read your own, or figure out what you heard. Listen with your heart to what you heard and perceive what God might be speaking into your life. But if you hold on through that moment, if you wish, I will share my own thoughts. And that's how we end our time together. Today we're in Ruth chapter 2. We're looking at verses 5 through 7. That's what we're reading aloud together. So catch your breath and listen with me for a word from the Lord. Then Boaz turned to the supervisor in charge of the harvesters and asked, "Who does that woman work for?" The supervisor of the harvesters replied, "She is the Moabite who returned from the land of Moab with Naomi. She asked our permission to collect the grain that the workers dropped. She has been working steadily since early morning with scarcely any rest." Today's text reminds me of the reality that people today even face. I live in a community, there's a fairly high cost of living here in Northern Virginia, where I currently live. And there are any number of families that have to, both parents, or for single parents, they'll often have to work tirelessly in order to support their families, provide a roof over their head, food to eat, medical care, and those kinds of things. This is not this. We're not looking at, when I read Ruth in this particular passage, and I was struck by those last words. She has been working steadily since morning with scarcely any rest. And I see a lot of folks here in this community here in Northern Virginia who live that kind of life on the edge, one paycheck away from homelessness, one paycheck away from not being able to feed the family or not being able to pay the medical bill. And while in the early tribal groupings, like here in the story of Ruth, there was a way by which a family could, with dignity and respect, provide food for their family. There aren't so many such realities here in the world in which I find myself, in the world in which I live. And I see families with either this one parent or both parents working two jobs, long hours, just to try to make enough to take care of their family. So I am struck by Ruth's willingness to do this. And she's doing it not just for herself, but her, the family that she has made for herself. Naomi, her mother-in-law, and Ruth. In this strange land, for Ruth anyway. And she wants to take care. And so she works very hard from early morning, steadily without rest. I wonder how many people we pass on the street that we don't even realize are tirelessly working without rest. And makes me think about the systems we have in place that are supposed to keep people from going hungry, that are supposed to keep them from losing housing. And on the whole, there aren't that many systems anymore for that. And we're in the place in which I live, the city in which I live, trying to make up for the difference, but my own national government is seeing and doing something different. Looking for ways to save money by not helping to provide for the poor, so that the rich can be richer. And I guess that is a reality we all face, even when the writing of Ruth was being written. I wonder about justice for folks like that. I wonder about how God sees that and what I can do about that. This reminds me that I have a place among the human community, and I am meant to look out for my sisters and brothers who are working tirelessly around me. That's what I got when I read the text today. I don't know what you heard. I encourage you to read it. I certainly welcome your responses if you choose to respond. Interested in what words were spoken to you, what Spirit may have said in your life. But as always, conversation is great. You can always email me. You can write on our Facebook page where the text appears, where the video appears, or on our YouTube page. In any case, wish you all the best. Remember, you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you are. And until the next time we do sacred reading